5.
Toronto Pearson Airport, Addis Information Alpha, time 15290, route 060 at 9, visibility 15, temperature 6, dew point -2, altimeter 3026, landing runway 6 right, departing runway 5 and 6 left, advise on initial contact, you have Information Alpha. Toronto Pearson Ground, Air Canada 1200, ready for pushback with Information Alpha, requesting runway 5. Air Canada 1200, pushback approved, tail to the north, accept runway 5. Pushback approved, tail to the north, runway 5, Air Canada 1200.
Flight attendant farm doors for departure.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Flight 1200 from Toronto to Orlando. Flying time is about 2 hours and 11 minutes at 34,000 feet. Please watch the safety demonstration and keep your seatbelt fastened whenever seated. We're pleased to have you with us. Enjoy the flight.
Welcome aboard Air Canada.
Bienvenue à bord d'Air Canada.
For your safety and comfort, we ask that you pay attention to this short video. So join us as we explore all that Canada has to offer.
Pour votre sécurité et votre confort, soyez attentifs à cette courte vidéo. Joignez-vous à nous pour explorer tout ce que le Canada peut offrir.
Please place baggage in the overhead bin or under the seat in front of you.
Veuillez ranger vos bagages dans le coffre supérieur ou sous le siège devant vous.
In preparation for takeoff, make sure you're comfortably seated, with your seat back upright and tray table stowed.
En prévision du décollage, prenez soin de vous asseoir confortablement, de redresser le dossier de votre siège et de ranger la tablette.
Toronto Pearson Ground, Air Canada 1200, ready to taxi with Information
and we
Alpha.
suggest wearing it even when the sign is turned off.
Vous devez porter votre ceinture lorsque la consigne des ceintures est allumée, mais nous vous suggérons de la porter même lorsque la consigne est éteinte.
Fasten your seatbelt by adjusting it around your hips. To release it, lift the upper portion or press on the release button.
Attachez votre ceinture et ajustez-la autour de vos hanches. Pour la détacher, soulevez la partie supérieure de la boucle ou appuyez sur le bouton de dégagement.
Toronto Pearson traffic, Air Canada 1200, taxiing to runway 5.
Please comply with them at all times.
Les consignes de ceinture et d'interdiction de fumer se trouvent à différents endroits dans l'avion. Veuillez les respecter en tout temps.
It is prohibited to smoke, to use electronic cigarettes, or to consume your own alcohol on board.
Il est interdit de fumer, d'utiliser des cigarettes électroniques ou de consommer son propre alcool à bord.
Your portable electronic devices must be set to
Toronto
airplane
Pearson
mode
Ground,
until an
Boeing
announcement is made
787,
upon arrival.
ready for push.
Les appareils électroniques
Toronto
portatifs
Pearson
doivent
Ground,
être réglés
Air
en
Canada
mode avion
1200,
jusqu'à l'annonce
ready
de
to
ce
taxi
sujet
to
à
runway
l'avion.
5 with Information Alpha.
If your electronic device falls in your seat, do not move your seat or try to retrieve it yourself, as it poses a fire hazard. Notify your cabin crew immediately to ensure the safe retrieval of the device.
Si votre appareil électronique glisse dans votre siège, ne bougez pas votre siège et n'essayez pas de le récupérer, au risque d'un incendie. Avertissez immédiatement le personnel de cabine afin qu'il le récupère en toute sécurité.
Should an emergency happen, place your feet flat on the floor and top of head against the seat in front of you. Or, rest your head and chest into your lap. Grasp your ankles or wrap your arms under your legs.
En cas d'urgence, posez vos pieds à plat au sol et appuyez le dessus de votre tête contre le siège devant vous. Ou bien, penchez-vous et appuyez votre tête et votre poitrine sur vos cuisses. Ensuite, saisissez vos chevilles ou passez vos bras sur vos jambes.
The illustrated card in your seat pocket or magazine
Toronto
rack
Pearson Ground,
explains the many
Boeing
safety features
787,
of this
ready for
aircraft.
pushback with
Please review
Information
it
Alpha,
sometime before
requesting
takeoff.
runway
La
5.
carte illustrée placée dans la pochette ou le porte-revue près de vous explique les nombreuses mesures de sécurité propres à cet avion. Veuillez en prendre
Boeing
connaissance avant
787,
le décollage.
pushback approved, tail to the north,
If there is
accept
a need
runway
to
5.
evacuate the aircraft, leave your
Pushback
baggage
approved.
behind
Tail to the
and follow
north.
the
Runway
seat-mounted
5.
lighting to the
Boeing
nearest
787.
emergency exit.
S'il faut évacuer l'avion, laissez vos bagages à bord et suivez l'éclairage sur les sièges jusqu'à l'issue la plus
Toronto
proche.
Pearson Ground. Air Canada 120. Air Canada 1200. Taxi to runway 5. Hold short of
There are
15
4
left
exits
33 right.
located on each side of the
Taxiing
aircraft.
to runway 5.
All of
Will
these
hold
are
short of
indicated
15
by a
left
green
33
exit
right.
sign.
Air Canada
Please locate the one
1200.
nearest you.
Il y a 4 issues de secours de chaque côté de l'avion. Chacune d'elles est indiquée par une enseigne verte. Veuillez repérer celle qui est la plus près de vous.
If the cabin pressure changes, an oxygen mask or a tab will drop from the panel above you. Remain seated. Pull the mask or the tab to bring the mask towards you. Use the support strap to hold the mask over your mouth and nose and breathe normally. Always secure your own mask before assisting another person.
Si la pression de la cabine change, un masque à oxygène ou une languette tombera du panneau au-dessus de vous. Restez assis, tirez le masque ou la languette pour amener le masque vers vous. Utilisez la bande élastique pour maintenir le masque sur votre nez et votre bouche et respirez normalement. Mettez toujours votre masque avant d'aider quelqu'un.
If there is an emergency landing on water,
Air
reach for the
Canada
pouch on your seat
1200.
or beside
Cross
your
runway
leg.
15 left.
Remove the elastic band
Crossing
if
runway
required.
15 left.
En cas
Air Canada
d'amérissage d'urgence,
1200.
prenez la pochette de gilet de sauvetage sous le siège ou près du repose-jambe. Retirez la bande élastique au besoin.
Pull out the life vest from the pouch. Slip it on, fasten the waist clip, and tighten the belt. Pulling the tab will inflate the life vest. You can also inflate it by blowing into the tube. The life vest should only be inflated as you leave the aircraft.
Sortez le gilet de la pochette
I'm sorry,
et
Air Canada
enfilez-le. Attachez la
1200.
boucle de taille et ajustez la ceinture. Pour le gonfler, tirez la languette ou encore soufflez dans le tube.
Air Canada
Gonflez votre gilet
1200.
au moment
You're
de
welcome.
quitter l'avion.
Air Canada 1200. Taxi to runway 5. Contact tower when
Please let
ready.
one of us know.
Si vous avez
Taxiing
une
to runway
inquiétude
5.
ou besoin
Air
d'aide,
Canada 1200.
adressez-vous à l'un de nous.
Air Canada 1200. Cross runway 15 left.
Merci d'avoir choisi
Crossing
Air
runway
Canada.
15 left. Air Canada 12. Approaching runway 15 left. Entered runway 15 left.
Toronto Pearson Ground, Boeing 787, ready to taxi to runway 5 with information Alpha.
Air Canada 1200. Request permission to cross runway 15 right. Boeing 78. Air Canada 1200. Cross runway 15 right. Crossing runway 15 right. Air Canada 1200. Boeing 787. Taxi to runway 5. Hold short of 15 left 33 right.
Taxiing to runway 5, will hold short of 15 left 33 right, Boeing 787.
Air Canada 1200. Contact Toronto Pearson Tower on 118.35. Contacting Toronto Pearson Tower on 118.35. Air Canada 1200. Approaching runway 15 right. Entered runway 15 right.
Try to keep it more realistic forward. It's not supposed to go in with it on. Left.
Toronto Pearson Tower. Approaching runway 05. Air Canada 1200, wind 090 at Niner, runway 5, cleared for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff, runway 5, Air Canada 1200. Approaching runway 05.
No, need the whole runway.
Entered runway 05.
Q1. Rotate. Positive rope. Gear up. Flat side.
Air Canada 1200. Air Canada 1200. Frequency change approved. Good day. Frequency change approved. Air Canada 1200. Good day.
Okay, so now we're going to hang up for 36,000. I will just use West for 4,000.
here's the important bit for the High Seas Fleet. Because British newspapers were not to limit the German fleet until 3 days after publication, Reuters heard about this deadline on June 20th, just a day before it expired. The Admiral and his officers knew that the presumption of war would mean the Royal Navy seizing the High Seas Fleet. It was decided that they were not going to allow that. A long-standing order dictated that no German ship should be allowed to fall into enemy hands, and von Reuter also need to extinguish all fires and if necessary treat any casualties.
Already?
The crater couldn't get out and crashed. Let me tell you the story. On August 8th, the
They didn't even fucking allegory coming up to fucking the house yet.
Inside the crater to try to build up speed and turn that into altitude to climb back out and over the rim, but that strategy didn't work.
How? What the fuck?